Live your best life. Podcast your best podcast. Please. Hey y'all, I'm AJ Reyes.
And I'm Timothy Dailey-Valdes.
And this is Can I Bother You? Hello. Welcome back if you are coming back to us, and welcome if you are just getting here.
Yes.
Hey. Whether you are coming back or you are just getting here, you can find us on social media everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and that's it.
Yeah. But
You can find us at Can I Bother You in all of those places, and you will get more of the charm that you are about to witness with your ears.
the dazzling wit, the sparkling repartee, a third thing, all of it.
If I could have thought of a sound for dazzle, I would have pew, like dazzling,
Yeah.
and then you said sparkling wit, and I could have gone ding, but I didn't get there fast enough.
Yeah, it's hard to make the sounds of dazzling and sparkling with your mouth, but they're very shimmery, like a wind chime almost, or like a
He's wiggling his
cel-
fingers in the air.
celestia. Is that what those things are called? Maybe I made that up. I don't know. Maybe a harp.
That's a word. I mean, the harp is definitely a thing. Celestia is a word. I think that's an instrument. I think you got it right. Okay, normally I would try to do a cute little segue into what's next, but I feel like my segue, I'm using air quotes, into our social media wasn't really there at all either. So I'm just going to start this episode. This episode's about travel. We're talking about travel now.
So come with us on a journey into our memories. Maybe we'll talk about travel dreams. Not like dreams when you're asleep, but a travel wish list kind of thing.
Oh, God. You can talk about yours. It's going to be like the 2 times that you've asked me what animal I would be. I don't know, Tim. How do people even phrase that question? What's your dream vacation? Or
Yeah, or if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Yeah, basically my bedroom. I just want to go home, be alone. I don't want anyone to bother me. Just want to Netflix and chill with myself. Wait. I don't have a dream destination, I don't think.
That's fair.
I have places I wouldn't hate, but if it's where would you love to go? I'm I don't know. Somewhere that's green. That's a little Shop of Horrors reference.
Nice, Wrath.
Thanks.
Would you want to go, see the lights of Broadway?
What's Broadway?
Oh my God.
I'd go to New York, yeah. Sure. That'd be fun, yeah, sure.
Cool. We don't have to do this now.
Well, I mean, that kind of is a natural segue into it. But no, you're right. I guess you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. Not counting this year, obviously, because we've almost literally gone nowhere at all.
God, I have not left Austin, the city limits of Austin, since February.
As someone who has traveled very little, that's not all that impressive to me. My first thought isn't, I haven't left Austin. My first thought is, I barely left the apartment.
Yeah.
So when you were I haven't been outside of the Austin city limits, I'm well, more importantly, you haven't really been outside of your home.
That's basically true.
So, not counting the last few months, where have we been?
Do you want me to just start listing places or?
Yeah, if something sounds interesting, I'll ask you to tell us about it.
Okay. So the only other country I've been to was Ireland when I was 13.
That sounds boring. Keep going.
Well, I did already talk about the time that I was there in a swan baby.
Oh, I forgot about that. What episode was that in? The pet episode?
Yeah, it was the pet episode.
Okay, got it.
The animal episode.
Okay. Well, what else about that trip?
Timothy's
Irish, by the way.
I am of Irish ancestry on my mother's side. I'm Mexican on the other side, Mexican American, and I've always wanted to go to Mexico, but I've never gone. I've seen it from a bus, across the border.
Okay.
In El Paso.
I was on a map, or
No, the roads you can see across the other side, and there's this big, I don't know what you'd even call it, but the thing I remember most about looking across the border is there's this big hill, and again, this is in El Paso, so looking across into Juarez, there's this big, not mural because it's on the side of a hill and it's also just words, but in Spanish it says something along the lines of read the Bible, maybe read the Bible every day or something like that. Giant letters on the side of this hill, and it dominates the view. But yeah, I've always wanted to go to Mexico. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about places I've been. This is just going to be a ramble for a long, long time. I'm so sorry.
I mean, do what you gotta do.
I've been...
Well, I asked you about Ireland.
Oh, you asked me about Ireland.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's my fault, really. I interjected, and so then that sent you.
I'm sorry. So we were in Ireland for 2 weeks in the summer of 2001. So a few months before 9/11. So like travel was very different.
Right.
But that was a lot of fun. Hoof and mouth disease was a big issue in Ireland at the time. It's a livestock disease. But so they had these mats everywhere that you had to wipe your feet on, and they were like soaked in disinfectant so that you didn't spread hoof and mouth disease when you were like going to all these, you know, places, historical sites and stuff. And like there would just be cattle just like randomly grazing around it. So like, you know, you could very easily spread this disease to sheep and cows and, you know, all sorts of stuff. But I'm trying to think. I don't want to talk for too long. One of the things I remember most about that trip is the cultural misunderstandings of my stepfather. Where were we? I think we were in Dublin. We took a taxi somewhere, and the guy, I'm not going to break out my terrible Irish accent, but the cabbie, my stepfather asked him, which I don't know why he asked him this when he could have looked, I was going to say on Wikipedia, that did not exist at the time, but he could have looked at any like guidebook or like fact sheet on Ireland or anything, and he asked him what the primary industries in Ireland were, and he was like, well, this and this, and you know, of course, farming, he said, like farming without the G.
Oh, okay.
But you know, firemen. And my stepfather thought that he said firemen, and he was like, so do you really, I mean, you have that many fires here that's like an industry? And the guy was like totally over it. He was like, no, that's not what I said. Like, farming. I can think of 3 situations like that, so 2 more. When we were at Blarney Castle, there's a little touristy area down from that. I mean, Blarney Castle's pretty touristy too. It's where you kiss the Blarney Stone, if you've ever heard of that thing. Which actually is an experience all its own. You have to like bend backwards and lean over, and to look at it, it's black from all the people who have kissed it.
Yeah.
They do wipe it. I have no idea what the coronavirus situation is for their protocol. I don't know if they're letting people kiss it. I sure hope not.
Why do people kiss it?
Supposedly, according to legend, it gives you the gift of eloquence. So
this dirty ass stone is making everyone.
Well, it wasn't dirty when the legend began.
But I mean, that's still the legend, and people are still kissing it.
Anyway,
the stone couldn't even get dressed up for us, and we're supposed to kiss it for what? I already forgot.
For the gift of gab. But yeah, I may be mistaken, but to me it appeared that they just took a rag. I don't believe they sprayed anything on it and just wiped it, and then the next person would kiss it. Anyway, and someone holds you while you lean back, sort of around the waist, more or less. Not like in a hug, but with his hands. And then you like bend over backwards and hold on to these bars, and you just kiss it. It
sounds like a Friday night.
Anyway, there's a little pub there, and we were eating lunch, but we didn't have drinks. So my stepdad and I went in there, and everywhere in Ireland, as in actually most of the world, as far as I know, outside of the US, when you order water, they ask you if you'd like still or sparkling. So still is just like tap water, and sparkling is like fizzy mineral water. So they asked him that, and I guess he wasn't really paying attention because he just said yes. And, you know, that person was very polite, but they were a little, sir. Oh, and then the third one, we stayed in bed and breakfasts everywhere we went, except I think one night we stayed in a regular hotel. That doesn't matter. Anyway, so we were in Dublin, and it might be different now, but I don't think it is. They don't really do tips in Ireland. Everybody just makes a living wage. Imagine that. Anyway, so we were checking out of this B&B, and the hosts had been very friendly and very helpful. So my stepdad was trying to tip the proprietor of this establishment, and he said, "Oh, no, we don't accept tips. The satisfaction of, your happiness is payment enough." Or I don't know if he said that. I was 13, who knows. Anyway, but something along those lines. And my dad was like, "Really? I insist." And he was like, "Oh, no, we couldn't." And anyway, that went on for a little while. And then finally the proprietor was like, "Tell you what, give me 5." And he stuck out his hand hoping for, I was going to say €5, but actually at the time, Ireland wasn't part of the Eurozone, so they were Irish pounds. So expecting a payment of 5 Irish pounds, he held out his hand, and my stepdad gave him a high five. And he was a little taken aback by that.
I mean, he thought he was going to get money and he got hit.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm not trying to rag on my stepdad, but okay, I've been blabbing on forever and ever. It's because I kissed the Blarney Stone and I have, the gift of eloquence now. Well,
right, it works.
Maybe not eloquence, but maybe talkativeness. Anyway, AJ, tell us a story about somewhere you've been.
I'm good. I should have started the episode by saying that up until adulthood, I had basically never left Austin. I think, with the exception of going to, I don't know, either Dallas or Houston in like middle school or high school, the furthest I'd been from Austin was Taylor, Texas, which is not far because I have family there. So I didn't feel like I'd really left Austin. I'm not counting Dallas or Houston. That's like 2 seconds away. Texas is huge. So
Texas
I mean,
is very big.
So I mean, like, other people wouldn't really count that as traveling in other states. Because in other states, if you go 2 or 3 hours in a direction, you leave the state. But in Central Texas, not the case. Anyway, the furthest I had felt like I'd been was Rockport. And I was only there for like a weekend maybe. And we talked about it recently in an episode. The Unfinished Projects episode?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool,
because
yeah.
we were talking about the Rockport play.
Yeah, I went with my roommates at the time, / friends, and then also some other friends we had from high school. I think we were like 19 or 20 when we went. Mm-hmm. I was 19. I was going to say what year it was, but you don't need to know what year in which I was 19. But it was my 19th year of life. So it was before I started turning 22 all the time. Oh, by the way, my 10th annual 22nd birthday just passed. So
that's right. As you're hearing this,
happy belated birthday to me.
Yes,
yeah.
Happy belated birthday to you / early birthday.
Yeah.
Time.
If you want to wish me a happy birthday, you should do that because I love a kiss ass. So
you hate me.
I don't mean just any old kiss ass. Just the ones who wish me a happy birthday. Timothy. Anyway, so went to Rockport with my roommates and some of our high school friends, and they all had drama that I was not involved in, and I don't even remember what the drama was, but it inspired a play that Timothy and I worked on that if you listen to the show regularly, you've already heard about, so I won't talk about it again. But that's the first time that I felt like I'd actually left. The first time that I left Texas was New Mexico. I thought I was going to say LA, but no, I went to New Mexico a couple years later. I forgot about that. You've been to New Mexico before, right?
I love New Mexico.
How many times have you been?
When I was a kid, we used to go... Well, there was a period of a number of years in my childhood where I would go to Ruidoso, which is a sort of a ski town, I guess, in New Mexico. We would go every November, generally. It's a beautiful town. Neil Patrick Harris was actually born there.
Oh, Neil's a longtime listener. Hey, Neil.
Yeah, friend of the show, Neil Patrick Harris. Oh, don't fact check that. But yeah, really beautiful. I'm hijacking this story from you. Anyway, yes, I've been to New Mexico a number of times, both to Ruidoso and also Santa Fe and Albuquerque and different places. Anyway, I'm sorry. Do go on.
I was passing it to you.
Oh, I think I might be done then because I talked so long about Ireland. I don't have as many Ruidoso stories. It's also, my family has always pronounced it Ruidoso, and that's how I've said it my whole life. But it's really ruidoso. It's the Spanish word for noisy. Oh, okay. Because there's a small river that flows through there that's called the Rio Ruidoso, and it's named after that. But okay. I can't remember exactly how the locals pronounce it. I think they say ruidoso, And I know Neil Patrick Harris says ruidoso because I heard him say it on an interview one time. Anyway. Yeah, New Mexico might... Oh, that's tough. New Mexico might be my favorite state besides Texas, maybe.
I went crazy for a second and I was like, New Mexico's not a state, that's a city. And but I'm back. I went there again with the roommates, and it was also, I think that was also a 3-day trip, just a long weekend. And we drove straight through the night to get there. I switched cars with my mom so that we could take her van because it was in better shape than my car was. And since we were driving, it would have room for all 4 of us and all our crap. Mm-hmm. So I drove her van. We were driving there. We left Austin at 10 p.m., I think. And our first stop was the convenience store down the street from us. And we all got 5 hours of energy. And we headed down there. And some point... I'm pretty sure we were already in New Mexico, and I have no idea what time it was at that point. Maybe we weren't in New Mexico yet. Whatever. The point is, it was real dark. It was late at night, sometime early in the morning, and we'd gotten off the highway, and I'm driving. I drove the whole way up there and the whole way back, and at this point, we've been on the highway for like hours, so my foot is still on the gas, and I don't even feel it anymore, you know? But so I think I was going 50 down this like residential street, and we got pulled over. And it wasn't until the lights and the siren came on and I started to slow down that I really saw a speed sign, and I was like, 20? The speed limit here is 20? Where the hell are we? So anyway, the cop, he was very nice. I think he might have been a sheriff. He asked if we had drugs in the car, and I was like, Advil. And he like asked like where I was going, and so I was like, we're going to New Mexico. Or shut up, we're in New Mexico, I think. We're going to...
Shut up, officer. Oh my god, officer, get out of town.
I flirted my way out of it. What can I say? That's how I do everything. But no, I was like, we're going to, I almost said it again, New Mexico, Santa Fe. We're going to Santa Fe. Officer, I'm going to need you to stop drinking when you speak to me. Anyway, it's extra funny because I don't drink. And he totally just let us go. Like, no ticket or anything. I was going 50 and at 20. And he just let us go. I was like, thank you. Did you ever know that you're... And then we got there and we were there for a few days and we went home. And other than that, the only thing I remember about that Santa Fe trip is a lot of like, I don't know, dirt.
Yeah.
New Mexico seems to be all dirt. Very gorgeous red dirt, but dirt.
Yeah, it's really funny because the parts of New Mexico that people usually find themselves going to are all really beautiful. AJ, I don't know if you felt this way, but I've been to Santa Fe once and I loved it. Like, I think it's a really beautiful place.
Yeah.
And Ruidoso is like up in the mountains, so it's gorgeous up there. All the places I've ever been heading toward in New Mexico are all really beautiful, but like you have to go through miles and miles of very flat, very low vegetation. I assume most of our listeners are Texan. If you've ever been to West Texas, a lot of New Mexico looks sort of like that. But parts of it are really gorgeous and parts of it are just sort of more humble, I guess I will say.
That's a very nice way to say it. Humble. I think the only thing I even... Oh, you know what? That might have been the first time I was at a Five and Dime, too.
Ooh.
I remember I made a little vlog. It's still on my YouTube channel, but it's private now. Yeah. I made it for, like, my friends back home.
It was very sweet.
Right? Yeah, I'm sweet. Anyway, I was like... I thought these were a myth. Like, I'd never seen a Five and Dime IRL. So I was like, this is a real store? It's not, like, extinct.
I've definitely never been to one or, like, seen one.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was cute. It was little. They had stuff.
Souvenir-y things. I think you went through and showed the camera those little personalized license plate keychains.
That's
for,
all
like,
I can remember right now,
the names of your friends who were watching back home. This might be a question that we'll delve into more in depth if/when we end up doing a Texas episode. But I'm sure this is true in lots of states. But in Texas, it's sort of like there are quintessential childhood field trips that it seems like every Texan kid goes on. At least once when you're in elementary school, you have to go to the Capitol and like take the little tour, and you have to go to the Alamo and take the tour there and see the IMAX movie that I think they're still playing and that sort of thing. Did you do those when you were a kid?
I remember going to the Capitol. We hunted for Easter eggs on the Capitol grounds.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. I remember that. I think that we went to the Capitol multiple times, but that's the one that I remember. Because chocolate. Yeah, that's all I can think of. Did you? Did you do all that stuff?
Yeah, the Alamo, the Capitol. I think
I figure.
I can't remember if I went to the Alamo twice on school field trips or just once, but I know we did the Capitol more than once because if you live in Austin, if you're a school kid in Austin, the Capitol is a really easy, low effort field trip.
Yeah, true. Real talk.
You go on a little tour for a couple hours. Y'all can eat lunch on the lawn, like bring a little picnic. And as we discussed in I think our voting episode, we talked about how pretty the Capitol is, and it is. It's
It
very
is,
nice.
yeah. I want it to be haunted so bad.
I think it is supposedly.
It sure as hell better be.
I don't think anybody's like died there or anything, but it's had a couple fires. Again, I don't think people died in those. Anyway, but I think supposedly it is haunted. It was built with convict labor, if I'm remembering that correctly, and I think supposedly some of the convicts / builders still haunt it, supposedly.
That sucks. I would not want to haunt where I worked.
That's a good point.
I mean, being there when I was alive was bad enough. If I was haunting Sonic, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed?
I'm just imagining like, urban legends about this Sonic that's haunted. Like, let's go to the other Sonic. This one's haunted. My mozzarella sticks are bleeding. Like, I don't know.
I keep hearing this voice say, "It's Brittany, bitch." Like, I'm trying to figure out what I would do if I was a ghost.
Yeah. Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
If I was haunting a Sonic, that's definitely what I'd be doing. Mm-hmm. Making mozzarella sticks bleed and whispering, "It's Brittany, bitch," to everyone. I'd sing Big Girls Don't Cry, like really creepily, because that's the song that was real big, I think, the first summer that I worked at Sonic. Big girls don't cry.
Do you have any Alamo memories? I can't think of anything like real specific, but I do remember going to the Alamo.
I can't remember if I ever went to the Alamo on a school trip or not. I know I've been to the Alamo like 2 or 3 times as an adult. You know what? No, I think maybe I do remember. I mean, I don't actually remember it, but I think I can half-assedly recall, quarter-assedly recall one school trip to the Alamo. And the only reason that's coming to me is because I can kind of imagine people like walking around whatever mall is like right next to it or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's like the River Center.
I can kind of remember walking through that with a large group. So maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely another traditional thing that school trips do is just killing time walking through the mall, because we did that too.
Yeah.
I remember on the school trip that I actually remember that I went to the Alamo on, I bought like I think they're called pop guns, the wooden toy guns, and they have like a cork on a string. And like you pull the trigger and it goes pop. I don't know why I got one, but I did.
You're very butch.
I'm extremely butch. I think this was from a time when my parents went there on their own or something. I don't know exactly, but I know I had a raccoon skin cap from the Alamo. I don't think it was real.
Like David Bowie.
Oh, listener, that joke is funny for 2 reasons. Because, of course, David Bowie was an English musician who actually got his name from a hero of the Alamo named Jim Bowie, because he thought that the last name was actually pronounced Bowie, but it's really Bowie. But the Alamo defender, who's known for wearing a raccoon skin cap, was Davy Crockett.
As soon as I said David Bowie, I was like, I should have said Davy Bowie. Like that would have made more sense. But I was like, no, if you're using his like proper name. Unless, was Davy Crockett actually named Davy?
No.
It occurred to me that I'd never, or at least I don't remember learning that.
Yeah. There's a high school that I actually used to sub at called Crockett High School, and its official name, like on their sign and everything, is David Crockett. And it sounds so weird to say David Crockett, but that was his name.
I've lost track of who was telling what stories.
We were kind of going back and forth on the Alamo.
Okay, I think... Oh, actually, I want to hear more from you about you. Where else have you been? I don't know what I want to know more. Audience, what do you want to know more? It's a good thing you're going to hear this 4 weeks from now. I don't know if I want to hear more about where you've been within the U.S. or where you've been outside of the U.S. So whatever you feel like talking about.
Well, I've only been to Ireland outside of the U.S., so I'd just be telling more Ireland stories.
I did not know that. Yeah. All right, well, we're done with Ireland. Where have you been in the U.S.? Do you want to talk about New York since you mentioned Broadway earlier?
Yes, I have been to the Broadway. I went on I don't know what to call it, because it was in the year 2000, in the year of our Lord, 2005, I went on a trip to New York. And it was technically a choir trip. I wasn't in choir, but a bunch of theater kids got in on it. Mm-hmm. Like a pretty sizable group of theater kids. And it was great. I had a lot of fun. I would love to go back to New York. A lot's changed in the last 15 years. But yeah, we saw it as a whole group. We saw The Lion King, big, spectacular Broadway musical. Mm-hmm. I will be 100% honest and say, if I had gotten to choose any musical, it would not have been my first choice.
Yeah.
Or probably my fifth choice. But it was beautiful, and everybody performing in it was very talented, obviously, because they're on Broadway. Mm-hmm. We also saw, a smaller group of us went and saw a straight play on Broadway. We saw the 2005 revival of Glengarry Glen Ross, which was also very good. Although I think I would have appreciated it slightly more as an adult because I didn't 100% understand all the ins and outs, because in essence it's a play about real estate. But anyway, it's very interesting, and the sets were amazing, and the performances were all very good. And we were actually there during the Tony Awards, like during the ceremony. We were in New York, and we had planned to go stand outside and watch the red carpet, basically. But we didn't end up doing that, and I'm not sure why. But Glengarry Glen Ross, that production did win. I think it won the Tony for Best Revival of a Play. Oh, if you watch Arrested Development, or watched it, Tom, oh God, what's his name? I'm blanking. I almost said Tom Wopat because he was also in the cast of Glengarry Glen Ross. This is so unimportant. Jeffrey Tambor, who played the patriarch of the Bluth family on Arrested Development, and he was in the cast too. He was very good. And Alan Alda, if you watched MASH, if you're of our parents' generation. Anyway, none of this is important. New York was beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. It was a fun trip. We saw a lot of things. We saw Central Park. From very far away, we saw the Statue of Liberty. Saw the Empire State Building. I didn't go up in it. Some people did.
Why didn't you go?
That was when we were going to get the tickets for Glengarry Glen Ross. So I had to go. Yeah.
I did not go on the New York trip, in case anyone was wondering, because my family is poor. So I couldn't go. I'm real glad that Timothy had such a good time, though. I'm not bitter. I really don't care.
I don't think I knew you wanted to go.
I don't even know if we were, if we knew each other then yet.
I guess we didn't. Yeah. Because that was between my junior and senior year.
And that was, between my sorority year and my sorority year. Uh-huh. So we were not in the same grade, which is obvious because I'm 20 years younger than Timothy.
20?
Timothy? Numbers mean nothing. Anyway, the point is, I didn't go. Somewhere I did go, though, which I also could not afford. I got half a scholarship and had to beg people for the rest of it. I went to LA because I was accepted into a writing retreat. It was a week-long writing retreat, and then I decided to drive because I didn't want to do a plane. It was half because I didn't want to pay for a plane ticket, and half because even to this day, I'm I don't think I feel like doing a plane if I don't have to. If I can avoid a plane, I'm going to avoid a plane. So I decided to drive there, and Timothy came with me, and we decided to also stop in San Francisco after our week in LA. That's the short abridged version. The first week we were there, I was in the workshop the whole time, so Timothy got to go see the world and sightsee. It seems to me that when people travel, part of it is eating at new places or at local restaurants, and I'm always show me a fast food joint. I know I can eat that. I know I can afford that. Let's just do that. And the second we left Texas, I was I want Whataburger. So for 2 weeks, I just craved Whataburger because they don't have Whataburger outside of this part of the world. It's definitely not in California, and that's where we were. So, the second I got home, sometime I think almost 1 a.m, and I stopped by Whataburger on my way to my apartment and I ate Whataburger.
Because Whataburger is 24 hours. I know, for anybody who is not familiar with the glory of Whataburger.
But shout out to In-N-Out, because that's how I survived in California.
I don't think I knew that. I mean, I knew you had a lot of it, but I don't think I knew that it was like your salvation.
Yeah, well, because I ate it with you at least twice, right?
Yeah.
That's because when I was on campus, we only ate what they prepared. Like, we paid for room and board and food. And so they prepared food for us there. So, I mean, for the first week, I was being fed.
Uh-huh.
And so then when I actually had to fend for myself, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Is that a burger joint? I don't eat burgers, but I'm desperate.
I'm trying to remember what I had at In-N-Out, because I was a vegetarian at the time. I remember the fries, but later on in my vegetarianitude, I started cheating sometimes because it just got really difficult, especially when I lived in San Marcos. They have a lot fewer vegetarian options than Austin. Anyway, But I remember when I was there, I got some taquitos at this stand that's world famous for their taquitos, and I thought I was ordering bean taquitos because they don't specify on the menu, it just says taquitos.
Oh.
But I was ordering beef taquitos instead. So it wasn't until I bit into them that I realized what was happening, but they were delicious. There's a lot of good food in LA.
I didn't sightsee as much as I wanted to because really I was on campus like the whole week. I sight-sawed with a couple of people who are also in the workshop, but like I was driving, so I couldn't take pictures or anything. And one of the people who I am not Facebook friends with anymore, because I decided I don't like her. I kind of knew it then, but it took a few years for me to be like, I don't need you on my Facebook feed. She was older, and I think I was the youngest one at the workshop. There might have been someone who was around my age, but there were 4 workshops, there were 4 different genres, and there were 12-ish people in each genre, and I was definitely the youngest within mine. I was doing young adult fiction. I think the person who was closest to my age was in their mid-30s, and I was in my early 20s. So I think this is before I turned 22, so that's how long ago it was. I hadn't even turned 22 for the first time yet. I was the youngest, I think, out of all 4 of the workshops, and that is relevant because... Oh, it isn't. I just wanted to talk about it. Anyway, so a couple of the people that I'd become friends with, we went driving down Sunset, I think. So even if I wasn't driving, the woman I was with, I said something about how I wanted to take pictures, and she was basically like, people need to get off their phone and live in the moment. And I'm like, or they could, keep their memories by having pictures of them.
Yeah, I think I took more pictures on that trip than I've ever taken on any other vacation ever.
You did take a lot.
Every star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So many pictures of the Hollywood sign. Houses that looked interesting. The palm trees.
The Hollywood sign is one of the things that I really wish I'd seen. Not because I wanted to see the sign, but because I wanted to see where people stand when they take the picture of the sign. Because I've always been curious about that.
Yeah.
Because people always take it from the same general angle / area. And so I've always wondered how they get there and what that space looks like. So that's like my only regret, I think. If I had a regret, and I don't even think I do.
I went on this really sketchy tour when I was there. A lot of the facts that the tour guide gave, I knew were incorrect, but that's fine. But he took us to a place he wasn't supposed to, where we got Hollywood sign pictures.
Oh.
He took us like up into a neighborhood, but it was not the place where people usually take the pictures from, which I think is also somewhere you're not supposed to go unless I'm misremembering that.
I'm pretty sure it is. I've heard stories from a couple of people, and it sounds like it's also from a neighborhood. And you have to they close off the road, and then you have to walk the rest of the way or something. Yeah. And I didn't hook up with any men while I was there.
Oh, what a shame.
I did have a little workshop fling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that was just polite making out because we were so busy writing. There was no time for anything else.
I remember I was really jealous because some of y'all went to the Getty Museum.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I liked that. I barely remember this trip. Yeah, I didn't take enough pictures.
I wish we had gotten a picture of us together, but we didn't. So, there's no evidence that we were even on this trip together.
I always forget about that. But there isn't a photo of both of us.
We have photos that are clearly from the same day of us at the Golden Gate Bridge, at least. But And I have photos that I took of you. I remember the hotel that I was staying at, and AJ, you stayed there 1 or 2 nights?
Yeah.
Was on Sunset Boulevard, and so felt very swanky.
I remember one of the first things that we did was go take a picture of the Sunset Boulevard street sign.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, I have that whole story about how I got locked out of campus. So the first night when we got to LA, I stayed at the hotel with you because I didn't have to check in, or I couldn't check in at the workshop until the next morning. And so I stayed there with you, and then I think it was that first night that I should have stayed on campus. I left campus. I think I just left to get gas, maybe. Oh, I left to buy razors to shave. They were doing construction somewhere near campus, and I couldn't get back onto campus because they closed off all those roads. And this is back in forever ago times, and my phone GPS was shoddy at best. So I called you so that you could try to, like, guide me there with maps from the hotel internet, and that wasn't working for some reason. I think it's because the map might have just been telling you to take me the way that I'd already tried to go.
Oh, I think you're right.
And so anyway, I was like, okay, well, just tell me how to get to the hotel and I'll just stay there again. And so the first night that I should have stayed on campus, I was back in the hotel again with Tim. And the next morning I had to wake up early and rush to campus. And my roommate was like, I wasn't sure if I should have been worried or not. And I was like, luckily not this time. But because of me, that afternoon, I think at lunch, or maybe that night at dinner, they had maps printed out for how to get back to campus when the roads were closed. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad that I helped. This would have been helpful had you done it the day before, but now we all know. I've set an example for the rest, as I always do.
You talking about maps reminded me that we had taken the oft-mentioned Emma's GPS with us.
Oh, yeah.
And it led us so far astray.
Yeah.
It led us up into New Mexico and back down into Texas.
I forgot about that.
Leading us back into New Mexico. We should have just taken the 10.
Yeah.
But we didn't know anything.
And we thought the GPS was going to tell us how to get there.
Right. But we ended up just putting it in the glove compartment after that.
Yeah.
But we did get to see Guadalupe Peaks National Park, which we wouldn't have seen if that hadn't happened. That was nice.
I have no memory of that, but it was real
We got
pretty.
out and we like took pictures. You know that one picture where it's like you in a field?
Okay. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I kind of forgot there was a time when people used external GPSs. I'm sure there are people who still use those. But what else about that trip?
We started to walk all the way across the Golden Gate Bridge, but after a while we got tired because it is a very long bridge.
It's real long.
It's beautiful though. Like if you ever have a chance to go, you should go. But
now I'm like, how long? Because back in this day, oh, you know what? No, I had just turned 22 for the first time. Well, like a few months prior, but that year was the first time I was 22. Anyway, I lied earlier. I do that all the time. But anyway, so this is before smartphones were as good as they are now.
Sure.
So on the bridge, it didn't even occur to me that I could look up how long the bridge was, you know?
I know that it's the longest suspended span between two towers in the world. It's not the longest bridge in the world anymore, but it was when it was built, I believe. But yeah, so we got tired after a while and we turned around. It was a very foggy day, and as we were sort of coming back, I think the fog kind of started clearing a little bit. We didn't get to spend as much time in San Francisco as I think we would have liked, because the Golden Gate Bridge is kind of the only thing we really saw. I mean, when we were visiting She Who Must Not Be Named from a previous episode, I think that was episode 18.
That is how we referred to her in the episode.
Yes, that's not like what we call her normally. She was showing us around town because that's her neighborhood. And she showed us the Mission District and the Castro, and we went to a gay bar and got drinks with her.
Yeah, it's that thing where I don't have any like clear memories. I just remember enjoying it and having a good time.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Which is like, I mean, it's nice that I had fun and everything, but I'm also like, why the fuck can't I remember anything?
But we didn't really get to see a whole lot. Like, we didn't get to visit a lot of places, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And, oh, man, because we were sharing a hotel room, I didn't get to slut at all while we were in San Francisco. Man.
I'm sorry.
Man.
I didn't mean to ruin your time.
Oh, you never do.
At first, I heard that the sweet way, like, oh, you never do ruin my time. But then I realized what you were actually saying.
Yeah, remember the brand. one day I'll have money, and one day the pandemic will be significantly less terrible. And I hesitate to say that it'll be over. But one day, California, again. Okay, I think it's about that time to like actually start wrapping it up now. So
our journey is coming to an end. We're returning to the baggage carousel to claim our luggage and depart from the airport of the mind.
yes, exactly.
AJ was like hyping me up with these gestures. It was great. He was like gesturing very emphatically and dramatically, and he's still doing it, and I am about it.
Wonderful. Is that all it takes? Why do I try?
You hype me up all the time.
I know, but if all you need are like arm gestures, I don't have to speak so much, and I love that for me.
Well, the arm gestures only work if I'm the one talking, because
That's
you're like
true. Otherwise, we're standing here silently while I'm gesturing and nothing.
I kind of love that too.
Now that we're picking up our baggage again, oh god. Now that we're picking up our baggage again, if you have any baggage you'd like to share with us or need advice about, got my segues back. You should email us at botherus@canibotheryou.com or DM us on the social media at Can I Bother You everywhere that I said earlier, which is everywhere. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at AJReyesF13, and also on YouTube at AJReyesF13, or just AJ Reyes. I pop up right away. Timothy, where can they find you?
Y'all can find me at TCJDV on Twitter, at Tomatio88 on Instagram, and just search Timothy Dailey-Valdes on Facebook. As far as I know, I'm the only Timothy Dailey-Valdes in the world, so you'll find me. We would also love it if you would rate, comment, and subscribe to our show, on our show, around our show, on your podcatcher of choice. That would mean a great deal to us. We also have a Ko-fi account if you would like to support us monetarily at Can I Bother You on Ko-fi.
Yeah. I was gonna say yay, and then I was like, do I say it too much? So I changed it to yeah. But
I like that you say yay.
But not like changing it from yay to yeah with the same inflection made it sound like they're two, like yay is yay, but yeah makes it sound like I don't, like, yeah, I'm done here, I don't know about this. Anyway, I do know about this though, that I am done. So thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yes, thank you very much. In the Italian that I learned in college in hopes of one day studying abroad in Florence, which I never did. Ciao, piccolini.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, great. Let's cut all this out.
Well, obviously.